Hi there. This session we are going to go over the basics of carbon cycle. Carbon is the most important element in living organisms. It makes up about 20% of total body weight in people and can be half of the mass in trees. So what is the element called carbon? Carbon is the basics of organic molecules, and if you recall, there are four broad categories of organic molecules. The first ones are proteins. Proteins are made from long chains of amino acids, and we think of the foods that are high in protein: fish, eggs, and steaks. The second organic category are carbohydrates. The picture shows you an example of carbohydrates called glucose, made by the process of photosynthesis, and you can see here in the slide. If you want to count up the carbons, there should be 6 of them plus 12 hydrogens and 6 oxygens. When we think of the foods that are high in carbohydrates, perhaps rice and fruits come into your mind. The third category of molecules would be lipids. You might be familiar with fat, and fat is a type of lipids. Here the picture shows you a phospholipid bilayer. It is the outer boundary of the cells. So the basic unit of life, cells, are made from lipids. And then we think of the fourth category of molecules, nucleic acids. The picture here shows you a double helix DNA molecule. So you can see that the presence of carbon in the above 4 organic molecules. That's why the knowledge of carbon cycle is really important. Now, let's go ahead and go through the stages. So when we look at the stages of carbon cycle, there are 6 primary processes that drives the carbon cycle: photosynthesis, respiration, exchange, sedimentation, extraction, and combustion. Photosynthesis energy from the sun is used by the primary producers, such as the green plants, to take in carbon dioxide and water from the atmosphere, and incorporate carbon into their tissue. The reaction is carbon dioxide plus water plus energy from the sun yielding glucose. For our purposes, we will refer to this stored energy from the sun as carbohydrates, or sometimes we call it biomass. The opposite reaction of photosynthesis is respiration. At night, plants are not photosynthetically active. Instead, respiration played a main role. Decomposers such as bacteria also respire when breaking down dead materials such as plants and other organisms, and release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. During respiration process, carbohydrates is converted back into carbon dioxide by soil bacteria. Glucose plus oxygen yields carbon dioxide plus water and energy or heat. Roughly speaking, respiration process starts with the stored energy in food or biomass or organic matter, and organisms or microorganisms break down that stored energy with oxygen, giving off carbon dioxide and water. Exchange is another process. Carbon dioxide can dissolve into water. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and water is constantly exchanging, coming in and out of solution, moving from one to the other. Eventually, the rate of carbon dioxide dissolved into the water tends to be roughly equal to the rate that carbon dioxide comes out of the water and reach equilibrium. Here I want to note that our atmosphere has plenty of carbon dioxide, and the ocean can be a huge water reservoir. What will happen in the end? The answer is that the carbon dioxide will dissolve into the ocean and form a weak acid, carbonic acid, making ocean slightly more acidic. The higher concentration of carbon dioxide in the air, the more carbon dioxide will be dissolved in the ocean, leading a more acidic ocean, and eventually harming marine species. Therefore, the increasing concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere from combustion of fossil fuels have negative effects on the balance of ocean ecosystem. Solid carbon in the form of organic or inorganic carbon will sedimentate to the bottom of the ocean or a freshwater system. creating sediments that are rich in carbon. This can be a short-term or long-term repository or deposits for carbon. Humans extract fossil fuels, fossilized organic carbon buried before it completely decomposes, and bring them back to the Earth's surface. This is a relatively recent phenomenon. And in a subsequent step, fossil fuel combustion occurs. Combustion converts fossil fuel or plant matter into carbon dioxide and ash. And in the process, heat and energy are released. Many human activities that utilize energy from fossil fuels are based on the combustion. And one can argue that many environmental problems are a result of combustion. Combustion is an abiotic process. That is a process without biology. Since the Industrial Revolution, humans have had a major influence on the carbon cycle by burning fossil fuels, which led to an increase in atmospheric concentrations of carbon dioxide. In addition, deforestation and subsequent combustion of harvested wood made things worse. Not only is more than carbon released into the atmosphere, but the recapture of carbon dioxide decreases because of the eliminating any photosynthesis that the harvested trees could have performed. The remedy needs a long period of time. If vegetation is allowed to regrow in the location where deforestation took place, plants will engage in photosynthesis and capture carbon from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and fix it in tissue. Therefore, capturing and storing carbon in biomass can be done. The Chinese government attaches great importance to the protection and restoration of ecosystems, and afforestation projects have been implemented for decades. China aims to increase the forest cover to 23% by 2020 and to 26% by 2035. Alipay announced that 100 million trees have been planted in the country's deserts as the number of its end forest users reaches 500 million. Alipay users who engage in low-carbon acts like renting a bike, taking the bus, or simply walking are rewarded with green energy that is used to water virtual trees in their mobile phones. And when a virtual tree grows up, the real tree will be planted. All of the above are a general description of the carbon cycle. For more details, you can go over some of the materials prepared for you. Thank you, and see you in the next section.